magnitude quake. So today there have been a 6.2, a 6.3, a 6.6, and a 6.7 aftershocks from an incredible 8.9 earthquake that has devastated parts of Japan. And the new pictures that are coming in from around the world are astounding. Continuing coverage now of the disaster. Here's a look at that wall of water. Look at this, smashing Japan's east coast in the north. A powerful and deadly act of nature, leaving behind a path of total destruction. Tsunami expert from the University of Washington, who's with us? I actually don't have the name. In the booth, please. Jody Bourgeois is with us. Thank you. She happened to be in Tokyo when all of this happened. Jody, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chef. I'm actually in Sapporo in Hokkaido.
Oh, all right. So tell me what you saw.
Well, it's more what I felt. I was at the Institute of Seismology at Hokkaido University and felt an incredibly long-duration earthquake yesterday afternoon. And then we all rushed to the television and watched as the wave was arriving at various parts of northern Japan.
What have you experienced yourself?
I experienced the long-duration earthquake and then several large aftershocks that we felt at the Institute.
What sort of damage where you are?
My understanding is that Sapporo and Hokkaido has not sustained damage, but actually last night I didn't see any local news because the news from farther south was so devastating.
All right, well, all the best to you. We're continuing to monitor incoming, and watching these pictures is just incredible. We've been reporting on this on the airport that was submerged in one area to the north. Some incredible pictures thereof. It's still very much underwater, it's our understanding. More than 1,000 potential flyers stranded inside there. We've told you that U.S. Coast Guard helicopters are searching for a man who was swept out to sea in Northern California. In fact, 5 people have been affected in some way by this. Officials in Japan have declared an emergency at one of the country's biggest nuclear power plants as well. A Japanese trade minister says a radiation leak could occur at the Fukushima nuclear plant. It's happening a few hours north of Tokyo. We're told the power plant's cooling system malfunctioned after the quake, that the pressure continues to rise, and that they're trying to get cooling equipment in. Officials ordered thousands of residents living and working near this facility to get out. We're also learning the U.S. Air Force has flown in emergency coolant to the plant to try to help with the crisis. In addition, we now know at least 11 different plants, reactors at 4 different plants are not working at the moment, and there are, frankly, serious concerns. Laura Engel with the news. She's monitoring from New York. What more do we know about the possible leak at this one reactor?
Well, Japan's nuclear safety agency says the vapor that they're planning on releasing should not affect the environment or human health, and that the amount of radioactive element in the vapor would be, quote, very small. Officials have been worried about one particular reactor overheating and the possibility of a meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear plant since the earthquake struck. Although reports say a backup battery power generator has been installed at the site to bring the cooling system back online, the pressure, as you mentioned, inside the #1 reactor is 1.5 times the normal level and continues to rise. All that pressure's got to go somewhere, so it will be released slowly in vapor form. Experts tell us that if the reactor continues to stay hot and build pressure, fuel rod casings can balloon and burst, exposing the radioactive core, which could release intensely radioactive material. Shep?
And as I reported a minute ago, 11 different reactors at 4 different plants stopped working. What do we make of that?
Well, we've got a fire that broke out at a turbine building in the Onagawa nuclear plant. That was in the hardest hit area. That was quickly extinguished. Japan currently has 54 operating nuclear reactors, providing about 30% of the country's electricity. Right now, as you mentioned, 4 plants shut down, 11 reactors. In addition, we've got power lines that are down, leaving millions of homes without power. As of right now, no radiation is leaking from any nuclear plant, according to Japan's top government spokesperson. We'll, of course, bring you further updates when we get them here in the newsroom.
All right, Laura, thanks. Stay with us for breaking news coverage of the earthquake and the tsunami as it develops. Also, Wisconsin's governor makes it official. He has now stripped away the bargaining rights from the state workers. It's what they wanted. It's what they got. The governor wins, but it's not over.
You mentioned the tremendous energy here. I guess it certainly could have been worse for Tokyo had the epicenter been closer. It was a good 240 miles away.
That's right. A whole stretch of fault broke, but the stretch was entirely north of Tokyo, and the one concern would be that the adjacent segment is now more stressed and therefore more likely to go. It may not go for decades, but there's a bigger chance today than there was yesterday.
All right, thank you so much, John Vidali. We appreciate your information, a seismologist. And of course, stay with the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of the Japan earthquake and, of course, the tsunami threat that is still here in the U.S. We will have the very latest on air and, of course, online at weather.com.
And we are putting together a special on the deadly quake disaster. It airs tonight right here on the Weather Channel at 7 p.m. Eastern.
How's this, sir? As Petco's chairman, I'll go above and beyond other stores. All pet food.
Helicopters to be able to go in and lift people off roofs because much of the water now has debris in it, which may make it impassable for a lot of the small boats that may be able to navigate the water. So the idea is, how do you go in and organize an air rescue operation with the capabilities they have, working with the local first responders and being able to talk to people. You know, the communication grid is severely degraded at this point in time. People that had cell phones on, they're about their 12th hour of operating them, and many of those batteries are going to be going down. So it is a complicated event. This will probably turn out to be the largest naval operations that we have conducted in the Pacific since Vietnam, because the Navy will have the assets to be able to get off the coast and get helicopters in there quickly and be able to help the Japanese people.
General Honore, it's good to see you as always. We thank you for coming on. Thank you. Now I want you to listen to this.
I left and it blew up again. I don't know what's going on.
This iReporter who shot this scene, look at the smoke. You see that fire? That is an oil refinery exploding. We'll be